The 450 is exciting this year.
Oh man, it was so cool. Give me. It's gonna be tough, so I want to throw this at you. Give me one person who stood out the most.
Oh,
Doesn't have to be any finishing position, just somebody who was like, man, I want to talk
well,
about
I have a
this.
new favorite rider.
Who's that?
I'm on the Tomac bandwagon. Not that it's a massive band. It's a massive wagon, but I'm hopping on it.
You mean the coach bus? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a pretty big wagon. Dude, what is it about the way that this guy rides that it's just so exciting to watch?
he's just a beast. He's
Yes.
just a beast. The way that main played out too is really interesting to me because he had the past Jet. By the way, by hitting the outside in the sand, like railing the outside in the sand, and then
Yes.
Jet. So there was a moment in that race where I'm like, Tomac's winning. I said it out loud. Allie and I were watching it together,
Mm-hmm.
and I like lap 2. I was like, well, Tomac's winning. And then after Tomac passed Jet, I said, oh, Jet's winning. It just looked like the momentum shifted, and all of a sudden Jet started creeping back up. I'm like, oh, Jet's gonna win,
Mm-hmm.
because he copied all of Tomac's lines, and then a couple of Tomac's lines weren't good anymore. So he kept hitting the outside in the sand, and Jet was
Yeah.
railing the inside in the sand. And then actually, what
Mm-hmm.
happened? Honestly, this lapper might have saved the race. He caught a lapper right at the perfect time, where it forced Tomac to go to the inside and try that line again in the sand section.
I'm glad you brought that up. I think that was Moran's who actually like pointed to like the inside.
Really, yeah. So
Yeah. I want to go back and watch it, but it looked
it was
like
perfect
that's what
timing,
happened.
and
And
that saved the
yeah,
race for Tomac because had he not found that line, because he was railing the outside, so
Jet.
he probably thought it was fast enough the whole time. But the
Yeah.
inside came back, and then there was a couple of
Yep.
other lines too. Like they all started going inside before the triple. I don't know if Tomac was
Mm-hmm.
doing that or not. Yeah, I think he started to. The whoops changed, so they all started by going outside and riding the right side of the whoops, and then went to the
Mm-hmm.
middle. And then once the rut got deep enough, then they moved back to the outside line again.
Yep. Yep.
That's the hardest part about Supercross, by the way, is like when you see pictures of that track and close-ups of the aftermath of it after the 450 main event, it is incredible what those guys are able to do and how fast they can ride it when it gets that torn up. Because you have to
Yes.
change the whole time. And that's the hard part. That's the
Yep.
scary part about Supercross is like it's as soon as you learn a 3 in a rhythm or like skim the whoops in one spot, you're like not moving. Like I will live and die by this line right here. I don't care how kick it out it gets. Like I am comfortable and
Yeah.
familiar with
Yeah.
this line. I'm staying in it. And they
Yeah.
just they
Yep.
just try and explore different stuff. It was so cool. I love that rivalry with him and Jet because it's such a
Yeah.
contrasting rivalry in every way.
Yes. Yep. And you called it, and it reminds me of the changing of the guard between McGrath and Carmichael almost when they're both because sorry yeah McGrath
Or
sorry for
Carmichael and
McGrath
Stu,
um
like yeah,
or Carmichael and
yeah.
Stu, yeah, the same deal. But yeah, McGrath still kind of like in his prime ish. Carmichael was like the new kid on the block, like starting to really like make a name for himself, sort of like Jet. Maybe Jet's a little bit more established than Ricky at that time. But we've seen that multiple times in Supercross history, and it's always been so freaking exciting. And you're right, we are in another opportunity to see the changing of the guard. But arguably, you got two guys that are at the best that they both have ever ridden. I think once Jet gets that bike figured out, it'll be a little bit better for him for that, with the Honda team. But how cooler could this be, man? It is.
It's a
It
different
was so
level.
exciting to
It's a
watch.
different
It
level.
really, it really is. I feel like
Sexton,
there's very few
Jet,
times when we elevate like this.
Jet, Jet, Sexton, Tomac. There's plenty of fast guys in that class, but those three
Yes.
specifically it is next level speed. I see some of the things that they do, and you know me, Dave. I believe I can do most of the things one thing at a time, right? Piecing it together around a 50-second lap is a different story. And then for 20 minutes straight, different story. But like being able to
Yeah.
do something one time, I'm like, I could do that. There's some things
Yeah.
that those guys do, and I'm like, whoa, you
Yeah.
know?
And it's not only
Whoa.
lap after lap, it's lap after lap while Eli Tomac is breathing down your neck. kind of hard. You know what I mean? Like that is absolutely insane. And like from your perspective, what's it going to take for the other guys to be able to up their game and be there? Like, yeah, Cooper Webb on the podium.
Nothing.
But like, what can they do, man? Like, what can a Mookie do? What can a AP do? Like, what can these guys do to like Cooper to get to that level, man? Because it's insanely fast. Right
Yeah,
now.
I would say nothing for like a Justin Cooper. He has time. He's young, so he could. But the older guys, I would say nothing. There's you don't have enough time left to catch those guys because you would have to like rewrite the way that you're doing your thing. You'd have to change your riding pretty significantly to try to look and ride more like how Jet does and how Sexton does. You couldn't look at Tomac and go, I'm going to start riding how Tomac does. There's a reason I don't teach Tomac riding style and I teach Jet riding style because one you can coach, the other one you can coach, I guess, but man, it's a lot more difficult. Like the way he power slides around, it's incredible. The one thing people can learn from Tomac for sure is he's getting very, very good at riding with his feet on, which is cool. Everybody else, these guys, until we see like the full changing of the guard and the 30-plus-year-olds all start retiring, which you imagine would be somewhat soon. I think those are your three, right? Jet, Sexton, Tomac. It's just like it's a level up. If you guys enjoyed this podcast clip and you want to listen to full episodes, you can do so on Spotify and Apple Music. If you want to send in your own video submission, you can join us in the Moto Academy family inside of the Moto Academy app by just going to themotoacademy.com. That's also where you can sign up for a class. Okay, guys, see you next episode.